Hello, YouTube. This is going to be a video on a number of things. First off, I just want to say, for the record, not that it matters, and again, a dislike is still a dislike, but the dislike from yesterday, just so you know, is a guy in Gab. That, by the way, is a Ring website. Not that I'm necessarily trashing people on the right, because people on the left have really nothing to talk about anyone, and I am on the left. But the guy that disliked my video yesterday was on the right Ring that time around, and he actually disliked my video according to him because, one, give a minute. Pop-ups. Anyways, one, it was because first of all, I said I was against, not because I was against circumcision of males, but because I was against piercing girls' ears. I was against female ear piercing. And second of all, because I said I supported LGBTQ rights and defended child drag queens. So this was a guy on the right who was clearly delusional and crazy. And it had really very little to do with any kind of issue that would be seen as negative to me, other than by someone on the right Ring. And I'm not on the right Ring, just so you know, and whatever else. But the point is, I'm against piercing girls' ears, and this guy would later confirm to me that he was against circumcision personally, but he doesn't really care if other people are against it. And, you could say that's an okay thing to be. But to me, if I'm against something strongly enough, and I'm against that on a moral level, I'm against that in the way that I'm against really the consumption of meat, and I'm against a number of other behavior. And it's not enough to say that I'm against it. I have to support other people being against it. I want other people to be against it. But I'm against ear piercing. But here is what I would say, however, or though I will say it's not as bad as male genital mutilation or circumcision, but it is still nevertheless quite horrific. It is a negative practice that I do not condone or support. And it's not as bad as circumcision because it's a small hole and it will grow back, and it's not as bad, but it's bad, and no one should pierce their daughter's ears, and I'm against that. So moving on, there is a problem much bigger than that currently as far as who likes my shit and who doesn't. And this has to do with the First Amendment, and they're trying, supposedly there is and I'm not shitting you if this is correct, and if not, then Alex Jones is just outright lying to his audience, and he may be, I don't doubt that, but there is a amendment, there is a law going through the Supreme Court that if passed will challenge or will end, it will end the ability to speak up for immigrants or to speak out against people that are trying to challenge the rights of immigrants or immigrant rights. So what this means is, if you support illegal immigration, that will no longer be legal if this passes on the basis of you are supporting an illegal act. 1 minute. You will no longer be able to challenge or condemn illegal immigration. To support illegal immigration, or challenge or condemn people that want to inhibit or prevent immigration or harm immigrants. So this is really bad. And keep in mind, now, I have always been against this kind of thing when it happened to the right Ring, regardless of whether it happened to them about something like guns or gun rights, even though I don't particularly personally support gun rights. Well, I do actually support gun rights, but I think they are a bit crazy about that, nevertheless. But I've always supported their ability to support guns, or if it was something as crazy, or the same was true if they supported something as crazy as whatever religious bullshit they were spouting. If they were talking about religious bullshit, I always try to support them about whatever they were talking about, and I always said they had a right to say whatever they want. But here you have a situation where the right wing really needs to prove themselves because they always, or not always, but really for the last few years now, they have been lying and blowing smoke out their ass about they support free speech. But if you think about it, they have never supported free speech before that or free expression. And they went ape shit when Janet Jackson showed her titty on the Super Bowl, and they have went crazy and went ape shit for years. If you remember the pop group or the rock group Tattoo was a lesbian, was a lesbian or really a lesbian or really a bisexual pop group that was pro-gay and singing pro-gay songs. They were against all of that, by the way. But now these same damn people want it to be pro-speech, and I give them the benefit of the doubt. But well, here's your damn chance. They want to keep liberals like me from supporting or promoting immigration and supporting immigrants and immigrant rights. Well, here is your chance to prove that you give a damn about free speech. Because if you don't, and you try to pull some shit like where you say, well, like that's illegal. Well, then, goddamn it, we should be able to put you in jail when you support the assault rifles and all the dumb shit you support. If you can put me in jail, because if you can put me in jail for that, goddamn it, we should be you. So here's your fucking chance, asshole, to redeem yourself and get your damn rights back. And also keep in mind, by the way, we used to support your rights. Liberals used to be totally for you to say whatever you wanted until we got sick and tired of you never supporting our rights. And that had a lot to do probably with that major shift in the left from hippie to Antifa. You had a lot to do with it. So here's your chance. Be a fucking man, have some balls, and fucking be consistent and support our damn rights. And if you can't do that, don't ever expect to. So be a damn man, have some balls, and to do that. Because if you can't support us, then we can't support you. This is not something I want to do. And by the way, let me also say this had something supposedly to do with that crazy woman I told you about saying we should eat the babies because of climate change. Though they never went on to explain how or talk about that or go into any detail, at least not from the article that I read. But nevertheless, it supposedly has something to do with that. And that's absolute crazy bullshit. Because that would be like me saying, this because the Klan says all Mexican people or someone is inferior, that no person on the right should ever be able to say anything negative about Hispanic people. You wouldn't say, well, okay, it's the same fucking logic. You're not responsible for what your crazies do, and neither are we responsible for what our fucking crazies do. You're responsible for what you do. So, and by the way, this is nothing new. I have always said this. And you can look at any of my work. I have always said, you are responsible for what your fucking crazy, or you're responsible for what you do, not what your crazies do. Trump to run. Wait, well, I'll get into that. I like that part actually. Trump, UN. Oh, yeah. Anyways, supposedly the peace agreements or the peace negotiations with Kim Jong-un has actually been put on hold again. But I'm not going to just Trump for this. I don't think, like they said, that the agreements collapsed. I don't fucking agree with that. And again, keep in mind, Trump has done far more to try to guide negotiations on with various different countries, including North Korea, than any other country has. And any other country, and any other leader, especially Hillary Clinton, probably would have went to fucking war with them by now. So I'm not going to say that the peace agreements, as you call them, supposedly collapsed. They simply have been delayed, and they had been delayed before, and they will pick back up. And I'm not going I'm not going to condemn them yet. I'm not going to condemn Trump or condemn them yet, because I think that these agreements can continue on and can be picked back up, and I don't think that they have collapsed, and I'm sure some conclusion will be reached that is positive and for the betterment of everyone. But it is too early to condemn and be critical of the president just yet, so I'm not going to do that. As for Trump, he also said to Romney, and he said to Romney over the Ukraine phone calls, give me a minute. He said to Romney over the Ukraine phone calls, "You are a pompous ass." And I couldn't agree more with that, actually. And I, too, agree that Romney is a pompous ass. And not just because of the Ukraine phone calls, but not just because of the Ukraine phone calls, but largely just because I believe Romney is a pompous ass. So, anyways, there's that. And finally, finishing up here, Sanders did in fact have a heart attack recently, as you know, and the doctors have confirmed it was a heart attack, but he is doing better, and he seems to be doing okay. He's not dead. To much of you capitalists chagrin, or to many of your capitalist displeasure, he is not yet dead, and he is not close to being dead yet, and he is not dying, and he's doing just fine as far as I know, and I hope to see him, and I think he will be back out there on the campaign trail quite soon, and I hope him the best. And Mitt Romney really should be your president right now, by the way, but Hillary Clinton screwed him out of that. But he is doing okay. So, here's for the best to Mitt Romney. I mean, not Mitt Romney. Fuck me, goddamn. I meant here is for the best to Bernie Sanders, who I support, and I hope Sanders does better. He is doing fine. He is healing from, or recovering rather, from his what the hell's wrong with him? Heart attack. He's recovering, and I hope him the best. And to go back to the ear piercing incident, again, it's not as bad as male genital mutilation. I would like to end this by saying ear piercing can be a very negative activity, and the main point, or the primary the main primary underlying basis of all of this horse shit is this. For the love of fuck. Try to hurry up here to beat the pop-up. Your children are not your property. No one is your fucking property. And the argument that, well, does that make them the state property, doesn't fucking amount to shit, because ultimately they're already the state's property too. Because 99% of the time they're your property, but when the state ever decides to come in and do whatever they want, they're going to anyways. And I've heard people use that argument. And beyond that, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day whose property they are. If you have a vindictive, evil person that wants to do harm to someone else, it doesn't matter who they are, they can still do harm, whether they're the state or the parent. And at the end of the damn day, I don't support this parental rights for the same reason I don't support states' rights, because I think children are human beings and they should be treated with respect and be treated like any other human being. Now, that doesn't mean they can be doing anything they want, because children are incompetent, but you should treat them in a way that is guiding and directive, not negative and not abusive. And you shouldn't just abuse your fucking power like a lot of you do and be tyrannical or despotic and act like despots. And that's what a lot of you do, especially when you leave it up to the fucking basic realms of some fucking idiot yeehaw in fucking the South somewhere that doesn't give a shit about their kids anyways. I don't give a damn what you want. I don't give a damn what you think is best for your fucking kids. I care about what your kids think. And this guy that I was talking about earlier said something to the effect of, well, you're trying to create a better version of yourself. Oh, really? So you're trying to create a better version of yourself by doing essentially the same thing to your kid that was done to you. No, it sounds like it sounds like to me you're trying to create a replica. You don't know everything. You shouldn't be able to hold someone else's life in your hands that way. I don't give a damn if they are your kids. And you can go fuck yourself. T666.